Hello and welcome to the interview here on France 24. The near-fatal shooting of a Pakistani teenage education activist has sparked global outrage against the Taliban. Malala Yousafzai, aged 14, was targeted for trying to keep schools open to girls, something that the Taliban revile. She's now receiving treatment in a British hospital. Her case has drawn attention not just to the realities of Taliban life in northwest Pakistan's Swat Valley, but also to the hurdles that girls have to jump over to receive a normal education in Pakistan. To discuss these issues with us today is Pakistan's Minister of Higher Education and Technical Training, Sheikh Waqas Akram. Hello and welcome to the program.
Hello.
I gather several people have been detained in connection with that shooting. Can you tell us a bit about what happens next and what is the investigation saying so far?
Well, a lot of people who were suspects have been arrested, and the search is still going on. We have been looking for people who instigated this whole thing, and there are people who have taken responsibility. So hopefully we'll get to the real culprits and those who have ordered them. And definitely when we get them, they will be severely dealt with, they'll be punished, and they will make an example out of.
Have you heard any response yet to the bounty that your government has put on the $1 million bounty on the capture of the Taliban spokesman Ehsanullah Ehsan?
No, there's no response so far, but definitely there would be.
Let's talk a bit about the broader implications of this case. I mean, firstly, in the Swat Valley. It's obviously a place where military action is very hard. The army has tried to do something there in the past years, but not really seemed to have made much impact. What's the new? Is there a new strategy now?
No, I would not agree with that. It didn't have any impact. But I must say that Pakistan military had one of the most successful operations in history in Swat. It did work. We very successfully wiped out Taliban out of Swat. But then again, there were a few elements which were neutralized, and definitely those elements which neutralized themselves for the time being came up and attacked Malala.
So they weren't wiped out, they were just pushed aside for a while?
No, they were wiped out, but I said there are few elements who had left Swat or fled Swat. They came back from the suburban areas, and we have Afghanistan on the other side, and carried out these things. But the new strategy would be to make sure that these people do not, we would like to hamper their capacity to carry out this kind of attacks.
Well, what's to stop them going across the border again into Afghanistan and then coming back? I mean, it's a very fluid situation.
Well, we would like the Afghan government to cooperate with Pakistan and would try to stop people who would, or at least identify them whenever they would like this activity of cross-border thing. Which
Afghanistan indirectly responsible for the return of these militants who carried out the attack against the girl?
No, I would not say that, and I did not say that. I was just mentioning about the other cross-border activity.
What about the fact that the US is going to, or plans to
In fact, Hamid Karzai has condemned this act and supported Malala very openly.
But the United States plans to end the war in Afghanistan in 2014. So on the face of it, the Taliban are going to only get stronger over time, and that's going to be a problem for you in Swat, isn't it?
Yeah, there, we've just heard in the news the other day that there are a lot of defections in the Afghan National Army, which was being trained by the EU and the American forces, which is something which Pakistan have been pointing it out to coalition forces in Afghanistan, that there will be defections in Afghan National Army because of the imbalance of different ethnic groups. But no one was obviously paying attention to us. But the other day, in one of the American newspapers, we read that there are 1/3 of that army is defecting to some extent. So yes, there is a point that is worrisome, and there's a point. It is yes. We will be there. We have a border which is more than 1,700 kilometers, and border which has been declared unmanageable by international forces as well.
Yeah. Minister, just to get back though to the case of Malala, so you're saying, just for me to understand this, that the militants who carried this out, this attack against her, and who said that we'll kill her if we ever get a chance to again. You don't see that as a generalized problem in Swat. You're saying that as a result of the Pakistani army's military action there, that this is just a pocket of some kind within the whole valley?
Oh, well, I told you they successfully carried out these operations. They wiped them out. Then life was normal. The life was back. Malala was going to school every day. She was coming back. She was studying in a private school. There were public functions. There were tourists going back to Swat Valley. So the life was normal. And yes, I would again say these pockets and these elements who carried out these operations, we cannot generalize that the Swat again has fallen in the hands of Taliban. No, it's not like that.
Let's talk more broadly about educational issues, because obviously Malala was campaigning for the rights of women to get an education, and that goes beyond SWAT.
Yes.
If I can quote a statistic from UNESCO, this is a study that was done for that international organization, that 46% literacy exists overall in Pakistan, but only 26% for girls. So there's obviously a big gap there between girls and boys in literacy.
Yes, there's a gap. I would also, would disagree with the figures, but again, yes, the gap, I would agree.
Sorry, just to say those figures do come. I mean, this is a.
You said 50.
It's
literacy rate is
46% literacy overall, but only 26% for girls. And that is a study written by Amir Latif for UNESCO, quoting in this case the official statistics of the Education Ministry of Pakistan.
Well, I would come back to the to this Malala thing. Let me tell you, Taliban, when came to these areas, when this whole phenomenon started, they started demolishing the schools, especially girls' schools. They demolished more than 3,000 schools all over, and there are more than 500 schools, girls' schools, which were in Swat, were demolished by Taliban. And then there were few pockets among KPK and the other provinces like Balochistan where they really wanted to stop women education, which government have been fighting against those elements. Now, I think the government, after this incident has brought a social change in Pakistan. Malala has become a hope for Pakistanis and for the rest of the world. So you will not believe that in a province like KPK, where the woman usually covers their faces and will not come out to protest on the streets. After Malala incident, there were women coming out on the streets in KPK province, in FATA.
So is change going to come from the women themselves, or is it a matter of government policy? I mean, the fact that there's an imbalance in how many schools there are that are educating women and men. We're talking here not just about Swat, but other areas of Pakistan as well.
See, Pakistan has, there are a few constraints. We have financial constraints. We had the biggest disaster declared by the UN in last few decades after the floods, the earthquakes. There were thousands and thousands of the schools in physical infrastructure which was wiped away. So we have those financial constraints, but keeping in view whatever constraints that we have, we are doing utmost what as a government and a state we can to educate, especially women.
So what does that mean? Building more schools, recruiting more teachers, or what?
Building more schools, putting more money into the education sector, trying to come up with the women universities. The Prime Minister is going to announce a university with the name of Malala in Swat. There would be more schools, more civil society and public sector coordination on the community-based schools, which are, National Education Foundation has more than 14,000 BECS project schools. So there would be more money, more attention, and more allocation for education.
How much resistance do you find in rural areas to increasing literacy? I'm interested in this because the report that I mentioned from UNESCO talks about an imbalance between the cities and the rural areas.
You will be surprised. You will be surprised in rural areas. There's not much. There are few pockets and few areas in Pakistan where there used to be resistance, and yes, there would be. Now, there are other factors as well. But in most of the rural areas in Pakistan now, these people from the villages, they come and they literally fight with their parliamentarians to have more schools, the women's schools, women colleges, women universities. So the things are changing. It's almost changed now. So, but yes, those pockets are there. And these are the pockets where it's really hard for the government to go and
In
check more money.
Balochistan, for example, I understand it's
Balochistan-
particularly difficult with a very low, just a few percent
It's
of
ignored.
literacy at the
This
moment.
is one state of Pakistan, one province in Pakistan, which has been ignored by many governments, and even the international partners and stakeholders did not feel comfortable going in Balochistan. But yes, Aghazi Hukuk-e-Balochistan, there was one package given by the President of Pakistan where we have given billions and billions of rupees for the development of education in Balochistan, and most of which that funding would be going to education, hiring more teachers, spending more money on a curriculum, and building more schools and universities in Balochistan.
Just briefly, Minister, our final question, we've only got half a minute or so.
Right on.
What would be the best way to support women's networks or civil society in SWAT so that they can feel safe?
Well, I think the best thing for the women to encourage women would be to support them and to stand by them shoulder to shoulder. They should not feel afraid. That's what the government is trying to do. The gesture of Prime Minister of Pakistan, the Chief of Army Staff, and the Chief Justice of Pakistan going to see Malala in hospital, and the prayers, all the official ceremonies in Pakistan are being started by the mentioning of Malala. The Prime Minister starts thing just to show that we are with her. So these extremist elements have done more damage to themselves that we have done to them in the last 5 years by attacking Malala. She has become a symbol, and in her we see that yes, hope is there. If a kid like her can fight, everybody could fight, and that means if Malala is alive, Malala is there, we can defeat Taliban, and we will.
Okay, we'll have to end it there. Thank you very much, Pakistan's Minister for Higher Educational and Technical Training, Sheikh Waqas Akram.